I've got to be a better job. It starts with me. I have to have us ready. I got to make sure, and if we're not ready, then we're going to play the guys that will be ready. It's that simple.
Coach Fisher frustrated after his squad loses at the buzzer to Rice, Temple's 4th straight loss.
But the women are smiling. The Owls get back in the win column against one of the better teams in the conference.
Lots of games means lots of movement in the AAC standings. Later on in the show, we will break down where the men and women sit in the 14 teams.
I'm Sam Covone, live from the Leah Corris Center. Later on in the show, I'll take a look into a men's basketball player who is using his platform to help sick people, including his family members. Courts in Session is live and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome on into another edition of Courts in Session. Alongside Jake Gabel, I'm Hayden Bandel. The two teams seem to be heading in two different directions as the women have won 3 of their last 4.
We start off this show with the women's team that took down Charlotte at home on Sunday. Charlotte comes into this one 5-1 in conference play, tied for first in the American. The 49ers make their status felt early as Deja Lawrence gets the steal and the layup. Halfway through the first quarter, Tiara East 3 ties things up at 8. Second quarter now, the 49ers get it inside to Fatou Diakite for the layup. And Jalissa Molina cannot believe the foul call. Good ball movement from the Owls as Tristan Taylor throws the nice pass to Inez Piper for 2. Start of the third quarter, Owls up 8. More great ball movement gets Rain Tucker the wide open layup. Remember that Diakite layup? That was Charlotte's last field goal until this layup from Kiana Rembert. 13 minutes without a field goal. Owls keep the passing clinic going, assist to Molina for the 14-point lead in the third. Lawrence opens up the fourth quarter with a 3 to cut the Owls' lead to 10. Lawrence again trying to will her team back into this game with the layup, but the comeback falls short. Temple picks up the win at home 73-68. This win improved the Owls to 4-2 in conference play. Temple had a good mix of scoring all around, with 4 Owls in double digits. Aaliyah Nelson led the team with 14 points and 4 threes. Taylor had 13 points, 8 of them coming from the line. East and Piper were the other 2 Owls in double figures. In the loss, Lawrence led all scorers with 16 points. Tracy Houston had 12 points and 4 rebounds, but 6 of Charlotte's 25 turnovers. And that was the key. This was one of Temple's best defensive efforts of the season.
We played defense today, and that was important for us to bounce back from the last game and play defense. And we played team defense today, and we can see that on the stat sheet where we turned them over 25 times and had 12 steals.
From the sideline was be ready to shoot. Coach Niche was screaming at Coach Miles, Coach Curley, all the assistant coach, Coach Shanita, even Coach Rich, everybody's saying be ready to shoot. And I think there's a couple shots that I passed up, but I think in those big moments, Coach Mitchell was telling me like big time players make big time plays, and that's what I felt like in that moment. And I knew that we had to make a 3, and it just got to me in the right time. I had enough space to shoot the ball, but I think it was a difference with me being ready to shoot than from the other shots that I missed. I wasn't really ready to shoot.
With those 14 points, Nelson cracked the 1,500-point mark in her career. 676 of those points come in cherry and white, with a majority of her points at Towson under Coach Rich. Nelson is the 10th player in program history to reach that milestone and is only the second Owl to have 1,500 points along with 500 career assists. Only 5 active players have more combined points and assists than Nelson in their career.
Joining us now is our very own Kylie O'Connor to keep the women's hoops talk going. Kylie, the floor is yours.
Thanks for having me, guys. I want to first talk about Diane Richardson's post-game press conference when she talked about how well the team has been sharing the ball. The team had 17 assists on 24 baskets. This goes to show that they're consistent on sharing the ball and playing well offensively together. Their previous game against Memphis, they had 10 assists on 17 field goals, Then in their previous game against Wichita State, they had 21 assists on 30 field goals. Game after game, they're proving that the key to success is sharing the ball.
Now, I want to look on the other side of the ball, on the defensive side. In their previous game against Charlotte, from the 7:02 mark of the second quarter to the 4:42 mark of the third, they did not allow a single field goal in that 13-plus minute span. They forced 8 turnovers and had the 49ers shoot 0 of 10 from the field. Now, part of the reason Charlotte was still in the game was because of Temple's foul trouble. In that margin, they had 10 fouls, which allowed Charlotte to go 9 of 13 from the free throw line.
And you talked about that foul trouble and the free throws, Hayden. That's what I want to talk about, the foul differential in this game. Charlotte shot 44 free throws as a team compared to Temple's 24 free throws. That's a 20 free throw difference. Temple 32 fouls. Charlotte had 18, another big difference. And Temple has now fouled their opponent more than the other team in 5 straight games. Temple needs to control those fouls.
Now, I want to deep dive more onto what Diane Richardson was saying in the post-game conference. And for that, I will need a screen of my own. The Charlotte game really showcased how Temple's offense is really equal opportunity. It has shown time and time again that the more people who are involved, the more likely Temple will win. With this game, the Owls had 4 players with 3 assists. In fact, the Owls are 7-1 when at least 4 players score in double figures. And the one game they lost was only by 1 point. There were also 5 players in the game against Charlotte who put up at least 8 points. To name a few, there is Aaliyah Nelson, Tiara East, and Tristan Taylor. That is all I have for right now, but stay tuned because in 90 seconds, Jake and Hayden will transition to the men's struggles against Rice on Saturday. We'll see you after the break.
Saturday afternoon from the Liacouras Center. It's the Owls versus the Owls. Yes, you heard me correctly. Early first half action, Jordan Riley showing off his athleticism with one hand. Makai Mason gets the handoff from Max Feather, and his jumper is pure. Mason finished with a team-high 20 points. Later in the half, it's Feather again. Tosh Sweet, where are you looking? Feather takes it down the baseline and lays it over the 6'7" forward, giving Rice a double-digit lead. Hyseer Miller gets the ball from Sam Hoffman and takes it right to the rack, laying it up with the right-hand reverse layup. To the second half, it's Miller with the steal, and Hyseer Miller gets it up to Steve Settle, who breaks out to cut the lead to 1. 6 minutes to go, Temple now up 5. Travis Evie gets it to Feather, who gives it right back to Evie, and a tough finish over Jalil White. Under 2 to go, Temple down 3, and it's Steve Settle to tie things up at 61. Next possession, Alim Husanovic answers the call. Now 1.5 seconds left. Temple down 3. White gets the inbound pass to Hoffman, who finds Piccarelli to try and send us to overtime, but it's no good, and Temple falls to Rice. The 69-66 loss marks Temple's 4th straight loss, the Owls' longest losing streak of the season. For the Rice Owls, it was Mason, Evie, and Husanovic in double figures, accounting for over 7% of the offense. Temple's Hyseer Miller got out of his shooting funk, hitting more shots against Rice than he did in the previous 3 games combined. Steve Settle had a good game beyond the arc, hitting a season-high 3 3-pointers, but it still wasn't enough.
The men's team has struggled so far to start conference play. Just 1-5, their worst 6-game conference stretch in 6 years. The Owls' only win so far in the American was a 68-61 victory at home against Wichita State. Those Shockers are the only team in the AAC yet to find themselves in the win column. This is a very different story compared to the last 2 years, which saw Temple finish in the top 5 in the conference both those years. No matter how you break it down, it's a tough stretch for Adam Fisher's squad.
We just coming out flat. I mean, we got good game plans. We just got executed. I think all the guys got to be on the same page. It's something that just energy and focus, I think that'll help us a lot, just as a connected group, all 5 guys.
We needed a rebound, defend and rebound. I thought those guys gave us the best opportunity. And, we looked at halftime. I think we had 0 offensive rebounds. Was disappointed in that. That was a point of emphasis going into the game. I got to do a better job. Starts with me. If I knew the answer, we wouldn't be down 15-0 and down 13 at the half. It's me. So I'll be better for Wednesday's game.
Lost in the stats, along with the wins and losses, it's sometimes easy to forget that these players have personal lives with other successes and challenges.
We welcome in Courts in Session beat reporter Sam Covone at the Liacouras Center. She has the story on an owl trying to raise awareness to a cause close to his family and his heart.
Hey guys, more than 5 million people worldwide have some form of lupus. It's a disease where one person's immune system attacks their vital organs. For most, living with this type of life-altering disease makes it hard to do everyday activities, such as playing sports. One Temple basketball player is doing his part to raise awareness, thanks to his personal connection.
Quante Berry is not only a player on the Temple basketball team, but a son and a younger brother to a mother and sister living with lupus. His sister Nora had to stop playing basketball due to this disease.
She gets to college and she was finally having her opportunity, and she finds out that she was sick with lupus. From there, me and my brother has just been trying to pick up from where she left off and just spread her message.
Since coming to Temple this year, Berry has had the opportunity to use his platform to spread awareness by hosting events with the help of the Tough Fund. He also speaks out on social media to bring awareness. Along with giving Berry the platform, Temple has connected his mom and sister with lupus organizations here in Philly.
Quante Berry uses his family as motivation, both on and off the court. The fact that they're depending on him to spread this message keeps him going, but also keeps him grateful.
Every morning I wake up, I look at life differently. I'm blessed to even be able to play basketball.
Berry's next lupus event will take place after the season ends. Previous events have been free at Pearson McGonigal Hall and have included prizes, games, and educating students about lupus.
Until his next event, Berry plans on continuing his advocacy for the cause by speaking out. Helping his sister and those living with lupus will always be an important part of his life.
Sam, let's switch gears. Let's get back to the X's and O's. Berry and the Owls took on the Rice Owls. You were at the game. This was Temple's 4th straight loss. It gave Rice its first conference win. What were your takeaways from the game?
Well, Jake, the only word that I can use to describe this game is messy. This is a game that Temple should have won easily, but the Owls were down by 13 points at halftime. It seems like there was a lot of miscommunication and missed shots that ultimately led to the Owls' downfall. Now, Temple led Rice 66-55 with 6 seconds left, and then Steve Settle went for a wide open 3 that he ultimately missed. And with 6 seconds left in the game, that is not a shot that you want to take, especially when you're leading by 1 point. You should want to get the ball in Jordan Riley's hands and drive it up to the basket at least twice. That would have secured the victory. Now, although Coach Fisher had no problem with this play, but this was the moment where Temple fans ultimately admitted defeat and started to leave.
We're introducing our new segment where Jake and I will each break down a play every week.
Hayden and I both picked our standout plays, and they each come from the women's win against Charlotte. I'm going to start things off. You can start my play right here. Demi Washington bringing the ball up for the Owls. They're currently winning 61-56 in the 4th quarter. Now, you have some good ball movement around the arc. They're going to end up passing this ball 7 times before they take a single shot on this possession. Demi Washington finding Aaliyah Nelson in the corner for 3. And if you know Aaliyah, you know she's going to make it. We're going to watch it one more time and watch the defense. You can pause it right here. You're going to see that Lawrence, the defender on Aaliyah Nelson, is on her right here. Play it again, and she's going to change her positioning. She's going to put her back to Aaliyah Nelson, and she's going to end up going all the way up to Tristan Taylor. She's not even looking at Nelson. Demi Washington is going to see this, find the open Nelson, and as you know, she's going to make it.
Now let's start with mine. You can pause it right here. I'm going to set the scene. Temple up by 3, 43.9 seconds left with possession of the ball. And the 5 Owls on the floor are Gary, Nelson, Washington, Molina, and Taylor. You can roll it right now. And you see the 5 on the floor for the Owls. Assistant head coach Miles Jackson, right here, telling Leah Nelson. She tells Terriana Gary, get to the other side of the floor. They're Temple's 2 best 3-point shooters. So now the space on the floor is open. true freshman point guard Tristan Taylor with the ball, just milking the clock a little bit. Then she's going to get a screen to her right from Demi Washington. Then watch Alyssa Molina again, cut back right to her on the left side. Tristan Taylor finishes the floater. That was a huge shot for the Owls to put them up 5 with less than 30 seconds to go. Well, watch it right here as we see Tariana Gary going to go all the way to the other side. She's off your screen right now. Gets Taylor to milk the clock, and then once there's time left on the shot clock with about 15 seconds is when Demi Washington is going to come and make her move, along with Jalissa Molina. Gets the screen to the right, quickly to the other side, and look at this tough dribble move to blow by the defender and lay it up for the dagger. We're coming up on another break, but leave that remote right where you found it.
On the other side, we've got a brand new segment, the debut of Fast Break when Courts in Session returns. Welcome back to Courts in Session. Sam is still live at the Leah Core Center and will be joining me and Hayden for our brand new segment, Fast Break.
All three of us will have a question that the other two will have to answer. Jake, I'll give you the honor to start us off. Ready? Go.
All right, first question, my question. What's one thing the men's team needs to fix to snap its 4-game losing streak? Sam?
Well, Jake, I'll start us off. There is way too much miscommunication on this team between their players. They're leaving wide open shots and wide open players. Like I mentioned before, Rice shouldn't have won that game. They got too many 3-pointers. And they're also Temple isn't getting enough steals. They're also missing these essential shots. So that miscommunication needs to be solved.
I'm going to look on the other side of the ball, the shooting from the offense. They are shooting it at 38% from the field this season. That is bottom 5 out of over 350 NCAA D1 teams. And that 38%, if they are unable to increase that, would be the worst shooting percentage from the field for the Owls since the 1958-59 season. Now we are 1/3 through conference play. How would you guys grade first-time head coach Adam Fisher?
So I'm going to give him a C because it's not horrible, but it could be a lot better. He did have a strong start in the beginning. He won his first couple of games, but then things just started going for a slippery slope. Now, we have to be positive. They did get that championship run, which they ultimately lost, and I feel like their energy just kind of diluted after losing the championship game.
Yes, Sam, I'm in agreement with you. I'm also going to give Coach Fisher a C. It is his first year, and 5 players transferred from last year's team, and 1 graduated from last year's rotation as well. The only 2 returners are Jaleel White and Hyzier Miller that got meaningful minutes last year. I think considering that and the fact that it's Fisher's first year and the entire coaching staff changed up, I think that it's not all that bad, like you were saying, Sam.
Now, last question is my question, and it's regarding the women's basketball team. How many conference games do we see them winning?
I'll go first. There's 13 games left. All of them are in conference, and I see the women winning 7 of them. The next 3 games are especially easy, and they're against teams that are below them in the standings. They are at SMU, at Tulane, and then at home against Wichita State. With the win against Charlotte on Sunday, I think you could be looking at a 4-game winning streak for this women's squad.
Yeah, Jake, I agree with you. I think these next 3 games are going to be all W's for the Owls. And then as we look farther down the schedule, they have South Florida still left to play, who they lost their best player in Sammy Pieces. 1 game after South Florida started with a knee injury. She was first-team All-AAC in the preseason. So I like them to beat the Bulls. I also like them to split with Tulane, home and home, so I'll give them another W there. That's up to 5. They also already beat Tulsa on the road this season, so expect them to beat them at home. And then, of course, they still have Florida Atlantic on the schedule. They are winless in conference play, so I'm in agreement with you. I think the Owls will win 7 of their next 13. That will do it for our first edition of Fast Break. Thanks, Sam, for joining us. And now we've got another type of break coming up, a commercial break.
That's right. Kylie O'Connor will walk us through the men's and women's conference standings when Courts in Session returns. Welcome back. Check out this stat line put up by Dylan Battie on Monday. Yes,
41 points in 9 minutes of work. Now, if you don't know Batee, he was the first player from the 2024 class to commit to Coach Fisher's squad. He chose Temple over 15 schools, including some Power 5 ones such as Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Washington. A big part of that decision is because of his father, Derek Batee, who was a 4-year starter at Temple under the late great John Chaney and played in multiple NCAA tournaments. Batee should make an instant impact next season, which is also another reason that he wanted to come to North Broad.
Enough of looking into the future, let's stay in the present.
Kylie O'Connor is back with us at the studio set to get us all caught up when we go around the American. Hey, Kylie.
Guys, let's get started with the women. It's starting to get a bit more crowded at the top. North Texas, UAB, and Rice are all tied for first place in conference play. Charlotte is no longer at the top, in part thanks to its loss to Temple, and the 49ers are 5-2 in conference play. Tulsa and Temple are still tied for 5th place, but they're really just one game back at 4-2. My standout team for this week has to be Rice. The Owls are tied for first place in the AAC thanks to a 3-game win streak. Their last 2 games were in-conference wins against ECU and Tulane. Now, let's move on to the men's side of things. Things are shaking not only in the AAC standings, but also in the AP poll. Memphis dropped from 10th to 19th ranked nationally with 2 conference losses, leaving them at 4-2. It looks like the Tigers have gone a long way to get to the top, but in reality, they're just 1 game out of their first place, where FAU and Charlotte sit at 5-1. Temple now sits at 1-5 in conference play, the same as Tulsa and UTSA, making them all tied for 11th place. This week, my standout team is the Charlotte 49ers. They are currently on a 5-game win streak, which started over 2 weeks ago when they beat ranked 17th and 1st in the AAC conference, FAU. They were 0-1 in conference play at the time, but today their record is 5-1, and they put them in a great place heading into the final week in January. Thanks for having me on today, guys. It's back to you on the desk.
Coming up, looking ahead at both teams' schedules, there's a doubleheader this Wednesday night. Both teams face off. The men will be at home taking on the USF Bulls, who are 4-1 in conference play. The women will be down in Dallas taking on SMU with an 8 p.m. tip-off. You can catch that on ESPN+. The Owls' schedule is all in sync this week as they both play on Sunday as well. The women play first in Tulane at 3 p.m. Then, directly after, you can find the men playing against East Carolina on ESPN2.
With all those Temple basketball games and then some, there is a whole lot to talk about, but don't worry, we've got you covered here at Owl Sports Update. The first edition of the spring semester of the Sports Brief will air Monday at noon. Then, Jake and I will be back right here with our crew, as always, on Tuesday. Our flagship show will air for the first time on Thursday, February 1st at noon on TUTV with Patty Heckard and Natalie Caranda back on the desk to kick off the spring semester. This court is now adjourned. That does it for this week's edition of Courts in Session. We'll be right back here, same time, same place next week.
For our show producers, Jacob Smedley and Sam Massad, he's Hayden Bandel, I'm Jake Gabel. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.